Okay. Okay, welcome. Welcome to our short webinar about creating real and sustainable change. So we've had a mad year, and even without that, even in general in our lives, there might be times in your life that you want to create change and you're maybe not sure what it is, you're not sure where you want to go. Maybe there's some part of your life that you're a little bit dissatisfied by, or a little bit dissatisfied with, or it might be a relationship, it might be work, it might be just how you are yourself, it might be how you feel about yourself, that you might not be very kind to yourself. It doesn't really matter what area of change it is that you're looking to focus on. What I'm going to do this evening is give you sort of five tools that you can use, 5 steps that you can use to kind of make this transition. And I'm going to be talking about it in terms of our teacher training program, because these are the tools, these are the tools that kind of underpin the teacher training program. So sometimes I'm going to be using examples from the teacher training program. However, it can be applied regardless of whether it's teacher training or any area of your life. So let me just share my screen with you. Okay, so that's what we're at. We're looking to really create lasting and meaningful and lasting change in your life. So whether you've been upside down or the right way up or whatever during the year. And no, I can't. Right, whoops, gone too far. Hold on while I try to drive. Okay, so what we're going to do in the next half hour or so is I'm going to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about me, and then go through the 5 steps. And then at the end, if you have any questions, you can type them in the chat, or you just can come on live yourselves and ask the questions. And I have a couple of students here on the current teacher training as well, so they might want to pop in and jump in and give, say something at any point, which is grand, or I might call on them to kind of give examples again from their lives, because I'll be giving examples from my life and from the teacher training course, but maybe then there's other things that might be of interest to you. Now, all of these tips are really, they're coming from my background, which is psychology, coaching, education, a lot of yoga, and a lot of philosophy. So it's kind of a mishmash of all of my different experiences from when I was studying psychology through to when I was teaching, and obviously yoga and philosophy, because that's kind of what I do full time now. And as I say, these are the foundation on which the teacher training program is built. Why am I okay? So I've just put up a whole lot of mad words. So when we're looking at this change, at these changes, sometimes we maybe feel that that the change is too much, or we don't deserve it, or maybe it feels a little bit greedy, because maybe what you want to do is earn more money, you want more prosperity in your life, and maybe there's a kind of a bit of guilt around that, or maybe there's a little bit of feeling guilty around looking for more joy or more freedom in your life. So this is why I have this up first, because what I'm really going to be talking about over the next half hour is really us returning to who we truly are, just returning to our natural state, who we are as human beings. And in the yoga philosophy, they have these 4 words, and they talk about it in terms of proper goals for human life. So what it is to be a human, if we are a free human, this is what we're working towards. The first one, Dharma, that's about purpose. It's about having something that lights you up, that you make, that really sets you on fire, and that you can offer out to the world. So often people think about it, they might, maybe it depends. It could be like a calling. It could be that you could be working in a job that you're not mad about, but you're doing that to support your family. And that is your purpose, is to support your family. It could be that you are in a job that really makes a difference and makes you feel good about what you're doing. So it's really about that we have that when we are well, we are connected to living our purpose. Prosperity, Artha. Now that's a kind of cool one. I love this one because often we think of like yogi people and spiritual people as not looking for or not deserving, or that somehow prosperity is a bad thing. So I'm here to say that having a life goal of being financially free is a really, not only is it a worthy life goal, but it actually comes up here in the philosophy of yoga that it is of value. Like even on a very small thing, if you're worrying about how you can pay the bills or not, or whether you can put food on the table, or whether you can put petrol in the car, you're not free to live your purpose. So on a very, very simple level, you need to have that sense of abundance financially to be able to do the kind of work that you want to do. But even beyond that, then, having this abundant life, or this prosperous life, goes beyond the financial side. It also goes amongst your friends, it goes amongst your health, it goes to how you live, that your space is abundant and is makes you feel good, you know. And again, as we do that, this is what we have for ourselves, this is what we can offer to others. The next one, Kama, this is about love, pleasure. Again, you think of the Buddhist monks and having no like sex life, that you think of that pleasure is somehow we shouldn't have it, or and that we have sometimes got judgments about that. But again, I'm here to tell you that when you are in your natural state, when you are who you truly are, pleasure is part of that, love is part of that. And so deriving pleasure from everything that you do, be it the food that you eat, be it the job that you do, be it your key relationship, your time with your kids, be it chatting to your neighbors, these should be pleasurable. And when we are in our health and wellness, they are pleasurable. And then the last one is about freedom, and that freedom really is about enlightenment. And it is about being free to be who you truly are, manifesting what it is that you're here to manifest, or that you wish to manifest, depending on, you know, overlay my language with language that fits with your belief system. But that having this freedom, when you're truly free, then you are not at the effect of. So for example, now this is a completely random example that just popped into my head, but when my daughter was about 13, 14, she used to know how to push my button. I didn't know I had a button. I thought I was this like Zen, chilled, you know, yoga teacher, been teaching yoga, you know, I'm all into my meditation. But when she was around that age, maybe 15, nah, probably 14, 13, she would come down and she would push and push and push and push until I went, ah! And then she'd slam the door and leave. So it was really interesting. I wasn't free to react from the place of abundance, from the place of pleasure, from the place of living my Dharma, which for me, being a parent, is massively part of my Dharma. Because I wasn't free from my own wounds, whatever it was that was going on with me, that meant that I had that big red button that she knew exactly where to push. Now, in this particular case, a little bit of meditation, a lot of meditation, a lot of wondering, why am I acting like the 3-year-old in this situation? Eventually, I came to the other side of it, and that's a whole other story. But what I mean is that I wasn't in my freedom when I had these big buttons that people can push, and then that I am in reaction. So anyway, this is underlying, this is what I believe our natural state is. And what we're looking to do is to make change to bring us back to our natural state. So if you're in a job that isn't giving you pleasure, if you're in a relationship that's not giving you pleasure, if your relationship with your kids right now isn't giving you pleasure, isn't giving you abundance, that you're not feeling like you're making a difference, then I'm suggesting that we're not in our natural state. And that's what we're looking to do, is to make real and sustainable change in this direction, in the direction of our wholeness and our health, which is this natural state, having these four states. Okay, so here we go. Tip number 1. You're gonna love this one. Number 1, be the best that you can be now. That means that if you are in a job that you hate, and say you are, I don't know, a bottle washer, right? And your boss is in your face giving out to you, and your whoever, your colleagues, and you hate the whole lot and the whole thing, and you don't like being a bottle washer. I am saying the first step to changing that situation, step number 1, is to be the best bottle washer not only in that job, but in the entire country. To be the best that you can be now. Yeah, Laura, I'm gone. Okay, so don't stop, don't turn off the thing. Just wait for a second and let me tell you why. Why? The first thing is that whatever it is that you're putting out, that's what you're going to attract back. So if you're thinking about your job in this real negative way, and you want it to create, manifest a new job, you are going to manifest what it is you're putting out. And if you're putting out negativity, if you're putting out thoughts about your cranky old boss, guess what you're going to get? The next job you're going to have, oh, let me see, it'll be the exact same boss that you have, only maybe wearing different clothes, or maybe a different gender, but it'll be the same boss. If you have a relationship, how many of you have friends, right? Because obviously it wasn't us, but you have friends, or maybe when you were teenagers or when you were younger, you had a friend who had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and then there was a whole palaver, and then they split up and they were crying and they were upset for months or years, and then they eventually got their new beau, their new partner, and they arrive up to you to go to the pictures or whatever. And you take one look at this partner and you go, it's exactly the same person, just with a different name. But they have the same manifestations, the same whatever. So what we do is we will attract back what we haven't cleared. So being the best that you can be now. There's a fantastic story about a man sitting, he was sitting on a bench, an old man sitting on a bench in Chicago. And along came a young man who had just moved to Chicago. And he just moved to Chicago, and he says, can I ask you, what's this city like? You know, is it, you know, he says, is it nice? Is it like, what's it like to be living here? And the old man looks up and goes, what was it like where you left? And he goes, oh, people were lovely. They were really friendly. It was very, very sense of local, even though it was big. I had great support with the schools. The parents were all lovely. It was all fantastic. And he goes, yeah, much the same. 2 hours later, still sitting, old man, still sitting in the chair, happy out. And up comes another young man who has also just moved to Chicago. And he said, hey, excuse me, can I ask you, what is it like to live in Chicago? What is it like? And he says, what was it like where you left? He goes, oh, Jesus, thank God I'm out there. It was terrible. It was like, oh my God, my neighbors were the neighbors from hell. I had to get out of there. Their dogs barked all night. They were as cranky. They would, you know, they were just nasty, horrible people. I mean, I hated the city. And he goes, yeah, much the same. So this is where I'm coming from. You bring yourself with you. It is wherever it is that you go. So the work that we need to do, the first job we need to do is working on ourselves so that we can manifest what it is we want, become the change you want to see. So that's step number 1. And on top of everything else, do you know what? It's just a bit more fun if you can see the good things about going to work. So here you are, you're working as a bottle washer, you are being the best bottle washer you are, and you can see the beauty of the clean bottle. You can feel the texture of the bubbles, whatever it is, you can appreciate, find things to appreciate around you, and you will just have more fun. You'll be more fun to be around. That is the step number 1. Without that step, you recreate. You may find a new job. You may think it's the perfect job or the perfect partner or the perfect whatever. It will be exactly the same as what you've left. Step number 1. You didn't want to hear that one, did you? Anyway, let's go to step number 2. Step number 2 is to just give yourself some space so you can see. And for that, I certainly suggest meditating. That could be going for a walk. It could be lying, listening to music, preferably without lyrics. It could be actually sitting meditating. It could be, there's all those apps. There's so many different ways of getting a little bit of meditation in. But a little bit of meditation will create a little bit of space. And with that space comes the light. a little bit every day. Meditation works. It builds on and builds on and builds on each day. And some of the girls that are on, they might actually, do any of you want to jump in about the effects of meditation on your life?
I'll jump in there, Laura, just for a minute to say, before I started my teacher training, I had always meditated on and off. And I usually meditated more when things were going good, but I forgot, and I seemed to have a block about meditating when I needed it most and when things probably weren't going that good. So for me, part of my journey was like what you've just said there about a little bit more and often, and building on it the whole time. So it's become part of routine. And when things aren't great and I need it more, I don't have that block anymore in the same way as to what I used to. So it's created space, and it's created a routine that it's my go-to now, which is amazing.
Perfect. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, there's one of the Buddhist monks, they say, you know, you should meditate for an hour every day. Now, I'm not suggesting that in our teacher training. We do not suggest an hour every day. We start you with 5 minutes and let it build 5 minutes. But anyway, this monk, and he says an hour every day, unless you're really busy. If you're really, really busy, 2 hours every day. So, yeah. Cool. So that's step number 2. Step number 1, be the best you can be. Step number 2, meditate, create space, get space for yourself. Step number 3 is to get clear. And to get clear, what I suggest is the daily pages. That's from The Artist's Way, if anybody's heard of it. And the daily pages is where you write, just on waking, 3 A4 pages, just freehand. You just write, and you keep writing. You write until you have completed 3 A4 pages. And you'll be writing, I have nothing to write. I don't know what to say. And then something will come, then you'll be doing shopping lists. Oh, I must remember to get the milk, and then something will come, and then something will come. So 3 full A4 pages every day, immediately on waking, is the most powerful. I've been doing this for a number of years. And if I get up and have breakfast, it's grand. If I have the journal beside my bed and write just first thing, even before you go to the loo, because that's when we're in that space. We're not asleep and we're not awake. We're in this transition, and there's so much wisdom available to in this space that it just comes. It comes. So I started the first time I started The Artist's Way. I started the journal, the daily pages. I was in Switzerland on a teacher training program, a phenomenal teacher training program for teachers on the Steiner School, which I was a teacher in. And after 3 days, it dawned on me that I had to resign. It just became so clear that my life was unsustainable. In what I was doing was unsustainable, and that I would have to make changes. And then I continued on and continued on. Now, I didn't know this. This was completely new information to me. I knew I was burning out, but I didn't really know I was burning out. But once I started this, it really became clear, so that I was able to make those changes in advance of burnout. So that's it. And what it shows up is, so this is about seeing yourself and discovering your samskaras. So your samskaras are your wounds, or are your patterns. And it's a way, so I would just say write and write and write. And then after maybe 3 weeks, you can go back and read over it, and you'll see patterns. You can look at yourself from this kind and gentle way, but see what there is. And it's magic. It's priceless, doing it at that particular time. So that's step number 3. Number 4, get support. Am I on 4? So within the teacher training, we have this really high vibration, this amazing group of people who are really willing and who support each other through the whole thing. So all these little changes, because they're all little changes that we're going to be making, but to have support to do it. Now, here's the thing. Again, what you spend time doing is what's going to mirror back to you. So for some of us, that might mean finding a new tribe. Now, if you have a load of friends and your family are really supportive of you, but remember, every time you make a change, that has an effect on them. I remember when I I used to be the fixer. I used to be the one that people would come to, you know, in our group of friends. So when I was in college, you know, if somebody had a fight with somebody or whatever, I'd come in and sort it all out. I was like the mammy, whatever. And I'd do all, I'd spend 2 hours on the phone with this one and an hour on the phone and did it, and I'd fix it all up, and I was the fixer. And then when I started working on myself, I decided that that wasn't a role I wanted anymore, that I really had other things to do with my time and not to be fixing other people's problems, and to try to step back a little bit. And when I did, there was kickback from the people who were used to me fixing. And in fact, one of my friends, two friends had a diss. And then it went on, then it never cleared up. That was their problem. It wasn't to do with me. I stayed out of it. And then I had coffee with one of them, and they were like, "Why didn't you fix it, Laura?" What? And he got really irate that I didn't fix his relationship with this other man, which had nothing to do with me. So often when we have found these roles for ourselves in our life, the people that we live with and that we share a space with don't necessarily want us to change, because we have a system going on. And so sometimes it's very useful to get some external support. For me, one of the things that I did was I actually became a yoga teacher. That was one of the ways that I wanted to get support for myself, to be able to all the time be hanging around with high vibration people, and to get support from me to look after myself physically, mentally, and emotionally, so as to protect myself from burnout again, so that I would notice the signs earlier, I would have tools to intervene with the signs earlier, and I would have to, because if I'm telling people, oh, you should meditate, well, then guess who has to meditate? I have to meditate. So for me, becoming a yoga teacher was that. And like I said, now I hang around with a lot of yoga teachers. We spend time talking about meaning, for me, stuff I really enjoy, more meaningful things, maybe not so much what was on TV last night. But I have transitioned, my friendship group has transitioned, and I'm still in contact with my old friends, but I'm not dependent on them. I have a new support network. Yeah. Any of the teachers?
Just to jump in on that, support from a teacher training point of view is key, because all of a sudden you're spending a whole weekend maybe away from your family, if you have children and that kind of thing. So I think when people know what you're doing, I know for myself, friends used to say, oh, do you want your daughter to come over to me for the day or whatever? So accept that support if people are offering, and even if it's just time whilst you're going through your teacher training, it's great to have that external support, because it allows you the time to do your assignments or the time to jump on and do a webinar or whatever you need to do. So that external support from family and friends is key.
That is fantastic, because often we are not good at taking support. Yeah, thank you, Denise. That's really, really important. Yes, accept the help or the support that is offered. I love it.
Also, Laura, can I just say about the support within the group of the teacher training is fantastic. Like, I never thought it would be so supportive, not just from you yourself, but like from all the other girls on the course. It's like a yoga family. And like from the very start, I thought, oh no, you know, I'll just stick to myself and I'll stay in my own lane and do my bit and try and get it done. But the support has been absolutely phenomenal. Like it's brilliant, and that support is really key as well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful high vibration group. It's really powerful. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. And even now, I would get support from mentors. I would always be part of some kind of other either training or mentorship group or something as well, so that I'm also getting support professionally as well. But yes. Cool, brilliant. Let me have a little look then. Our second last one. Take action. Do you like my goddess or my warrior? And we look for a Celtic warrior. So here we're red hair. Take action, and be brave. So often there's a couple of things that I want to say about actually then taking action. Sometimes we lose the bigger opportunity because we take a smaller one. So settling for something smaller, sometimes means that we're not then available for the bigger one. But also making change can be a bit scary. It can be a bit like, and so there's a story about the guys when they broke the sound barrier. What they did was they were in planes, and they were testing these planes, and they would go up, and then the whole plane would start to shake, and then they would pull back, and then they'd come back down. And people died with this now, because they're crocodile, well, they're not crocodile planes, but you know, it's when they hadn't broken the sound barrier. And so one day, one of the guys said, I've had enough. So when he got up, and even though some of his friends had died at this point, and even though in the past he had pulled back, instead what he did was he stuck his foot on the accelerator and passed on through. Once he passed the sound barrier, there was stillness. And so often that's what we do. Often we get so far, we're almost there, and then we go, oh, no, can't do it. And we pull back, and therefore we've missed the stillness that's the other side. Or that the eye of the storm is where it's still, you know. So yeah, being brave. Here's so this circle here, this is like our what is my word? Oh, it's gone. Our circle of what we are comfortable, our comfort zone. Thank you. So this is our comfort zone, this circle here. And maybe there's a couple of things that we want to do that's outside our comfort zone. So maybe you have this idea of running your own studio, of being an international yoga teacher, of being a millionaire, of having a new job, of being a manager, of being having most fantastic car, relationship, whatever it is. So you've got this huge big goal that this big star that you're even maybe too big, it's too bright to even look at this point. The star might be just too bright to even see. But however, there's a little star outside that is outside your comfort zone. So it is well outside your comfort zone, but you can take a little leap to kind of get to that star. Now look what happens once you get to that star, because it's cool, it's circles, your entire circle of comfort zone expands. The entire comfort zone expands. So then you can start looking at things a little bit further out. And again, your comfort zone expands. So it's no longer what was scary before is no longer scary anymore. And then eventually, maybe you can even look at that and you're going, oh yeah, look what I've done. I'm dying to say, Claire, do you have anything to say?
I do have something to say about the comfort zone for sure. I totally, when I started this course, I was like, I will barely put my toe outside my comfort zone. I am staying right in here, and I'll blend into the background, and I'll learn what I need to learn, and then off I'll go. But somehow Laura is so magical at like poking and prodding and pushing that I have not only jumped from that circle into the little star, I'm even gone beyond the biggest star, and I have surprised myself. I can't believe it, but it's amazing what you can do when you do actually jump to the little star. It's the support. You will push yourself way beyond your comfort zone. You won't even believe it. From starting this course to even nearly finishing it, I have jumped so far out of my comfort zone. You won't even think you can do it, but you will do it. 100%. Trust me on that one.
And little gentle steps each way. Just little nudges.
Little tiny nudges, and you don't even realize that you're jumping from one star to the next, but you're gone on to another galaxy. It's brilliant.
Cool. Brilliant. So there you go. Be brave and have faith. What are we doing? This whole thing is just about returning to who we naturally are, bring it back into our life, being able to live our purpose, having our purpose in abundance, and a life that offers prosperity and abundance in all things, financial, but also emotional, friends, family, where you live, every aspect of it, your time, being abundant with your time, all these things that we feel that we're short of. Having pleasure, enjoying love, and ultimately having freedom. Freedom to be who we truly are. That's all we're looking for. You know, how we show up in the world, what route we take, what game we play. is almost, it's like it's our game. So some people play tennis, some people play football, some people play hockey, some people go running, some people go swimming, some people couch surf, you know, whatever it is that our game is in this life or in this moment in our life, that we can do it with all of these. And if yoga training, yoga teaching is what it is for you, then we have a playground to come and play in. But even if it's not yoga teaching, if you want, the playground is available even for people who don't want to necessarily teach yoga afterwards, which we also would have people on the training course who don't intend teaching it. And this is where, okay, this is, I've gone ahead of myself. The final step is to pay it forward. So each time, a really useful way of reinforcing what we've done, what we've got, how we've learned, is to pay it forward, is to offer it to someone else. And that could be, obviously, from my point of view, paying it forward, manifesting yourself as a yoga teacher, where you can share what you've experienced. And it's not that you're sharing what you've experienced, but that you're creating a playground for other people to have a similar journey or a completely different journey, but it's a playground for them to step into being what they can be. But it doesn't have to be, like I say, it doesn't have to be as an actual yoga teacher who gives public classes. You can pay it forward in so many ways. My daughter that we started with, that liked to push my buttons. So she was, whatever, 14. And then eventually one day, because I was looking at, why am I so reactive to her? Why do I act like a 2-year-old with her? Why do I kind of lose it? And then I was looking at what is going on for her. And it suddenly dawned on me that she is a, preteen or teen who has all these hormones going over all over. So has no idea what she's at. She doesn't know whether she's coming or going or up or down. And I had this information in my head, but still, how did I manifest to change what was going on, to change our relationship? And so it dawned on me that if she was a 2-year-old, I would have hugged her. I never used for me, I didn't do the putting the kids away. I never did a bold step or something like that. I would take them in. I would hug them. I would hold them tight. They would kick and scream and whatever. And then they'd settle down, and then they'd literally melt into my arm. And then it was like that they felt safe and secure. I never used the bold step. That was what I did. I did the opposite. I took them in. And I realized what I was doing with her was pushing her away. It was like, to the bold step, either her or me would leave the room and slamming doors or whatever. And it was like the opposite. So I, well outside my comfort zone, because she was nearly as tall as me and she was stroppy. So I went in the day I had this realization and decided to treat it the way I would have treated it when she was younger. And I went in to give her a hug. That was one of the bravest moments of my life, to go in and hug this, like, And I grabbed her. I didn't grab her, but I hugged her and held her. And yes, this story has a happy ending. She just melted. She just melted. And our relationship hasn't been the same since. So paying it forward, offering it. So in this sense, being able to be present for myself as a parent, as a daughter, as a wife, as a colleague. You don't have to teach public classes to make a difference in this world. And the more we can be who we truly are, the more light in the world. That is pretty much my my Dharma, is to support people return to who they truly are. So this was a gorgeous thing that Ellen, one of the current students, just said to me, that it's open doors. This is the teacher training now, but it's really about making these changes. It's about letting our light shine. Open doors that she couldn't have dreamt of. There's that circle. Giving her inner contentment and a sense of calm. There's your meditation kicking in. Plus knowing that we're all right. You know what? We're all right. No matter what happens, actually she says it now, no matter what happens in life, in this journey, she has the tools to cope with it. And this, to me, is the key. Tools that she didn't realize she already had. So we have all of this within us. It's all within us already. All we're looking to do is, we have all of these layers of protection, of samskaras, of beliefs, of of ways of interpreting things, of beliefs about whether we're good enough to do jobs or to have relationships or to be, you know, the bigger person or whatever. But all of these tools are already within us. And that's, for me, what we're about, is to use those 5 tools and be the best that you can be right now. Create space for yourself to see the light that you're meditating. Be able to journal, to look, to see what what is actually going on and what it is you want. Get support in what you're doing. Take the leap and then pay it forward. There you go. So hopefully that is of some use to you in terms of how to implement change for yourself in your life. And that, yeah, that the tools are hopefully going to be really useful. Have you any questions? Or I have a couple of questions that came in an email, but I will come to them in a second. Just if there's anything that, or even if the 2 girls, if there's anything that you'd like to say or add to that.
Laura, I think, sorry, Claire, just picking up on one thing that you've said is, I know from our amazing group that we have, a lot of people did go into the group not thinking that they were going into this because they wanted to be teachers. A lot of people went into this program because they wanted to, and me personally as well, I wanted to deepen my own understanding of yoga and practices. And I came into it quite selfishly for myself, not for somebody else. But the transition throughout that time has allowed me the space to see that I have the abilities, if I want to now bring that out and I want to play that forward, as you were saying. So I think it's an amazing tool to offer people for themselves, even before they start thinking of other people, especially during the times that we're in.
100%. And for me, that's my focus, is always about the individuals that are on the training course, and so that you can have that experience of yoga for yourselves, that you can have an experience of yourselves, and then what you choose to do with that afterwards is almost secondary. Yeah.
Laura, for me, I came into the course because I just wanted to share my joy of yoga. I loved yoga. Straight away it was like, I want to share this with the world. But then halfway through the course, I was like, if I never teach yoga, this is for me. It's just an absolutely amazing course. I think it's more than a yoga and meditation course. It's like a life coaching course. There's so many layers to it that it's absolutely brilliant, that if I don't ever teach yoga, which I really want to, I want to teach yoga, but if I never did, the gift I have given to myself, hands down the best thing I've ever done for myself. So if anyone out there is thinking about doing it, just take that little step. Definitely go for it.
Oh, thanks, Claire. Thanks. Yeah, and I suppose that is, for me, from my background, it's more from the point of view of our own personal development, rather than teaching skills, rather than a teacher, you know, this is how you put your foot or anything like that. That's not where I'm coming from. I'm coming from us being, yeah. And then, like you say, you just want to give it away. But whether you do it and how it is, and whether it's a public class, like all how that is, you can't but give away your light and your joy. And how that is, it will be totally up to different people. Totally. Cool. Brilliant. I just have 3 questions that I just want to touch on, just because they came in. I know of people that are coming to watch the replay, and they asked me to touch on this. So one was about the standard of yoga that is required to be able to do a teacher training. Do they need to, you know, are they advanced enough? This is a really common question that I get. Are they advanced enough in their yoga to be able to do a yoga teacher training? And actually, I might ask, do either you 2 want to answer that rather than
Yes, you are advanced enough. Just don't underestimate yourself. That's all I'd say. I felt like that. That was a question I had. But don't underestimate yourself. Yes, you have enough.
Because just to kind of explain why, because the way we work, the type of yoga we teach and how we work is totally about finding it in our body, and it's an embodied experience rather than being able to stand in your head. And also exploring what we can and can't do in how we can and can't do it is really part of the learning. It's kind of cool, and it's actually fascinating, I think. So it's not about being able to do something. That's completely not what we do. From that point of view, it's about how we use movement to aid our health and wellness. Is that a fair enough answer, ladies? Yeah, got two. I'm nodding. That's great. The next question was the time involved. What is involved in doing the training? So there is the full day Saturdays where we meet, and if we need to meet online, then that's cool because we've figured out how to do that. That works really well, but we would typically be meeting in the studio for full day once a month on a Saturday. There is then a drop each week of video content that you would cover at your own pace, your own time, and then once a week we have a tutorial or a check-in or it's a class where we all meet on Zoom. So it just takes the hour, and that's a fantastic way of just staying connected, of checking in with the material, of processing the material in a new way, because you'll have done it kind of on your own, but here you get to do it in a group and you kind of get to hear what other people have taken from it, because that could be quite different depending on what people are doing in their life. And so that's really valuable, and it's an hour on a Thursday. You will do your own yoga class. You'll still continue with your own yoga class that you're doing, or you can join our classes online, again, if that saves time and supports your learning. You'll have a personal practice. In the beginning, it's like teeny weeny lemon squeezy. Lemon squeezy, that's not what teeny weeny was. Anyway, it doesn't have to be very big. It's about building the habit. It's about feeding yourself. It's about nurturing yourself. And then over time, as your time expands, as it will, surprisingly enough, even though you're doing more, there will be more time and more space for you to build that out if you choose. And then, of course, we have our retreat weekend where we get to go on retreat, basically. In terms of assessments and assignments, it's very much about your personal learning, as opposed to writing essays and proving, and it's not that kind of, it's not an academic course in that way, it's very much experiential course. So there's sort of questions, quizzes at the end of the anatomy section for your own learning. It's not like assessed and you don't get like a grade at it. Then you will be preparing classes. Well, we won't worry about that just yet. Don't worry, it'll be grand. I'll tell you about that later. Then halfway through and at the end, you do like a personal journal. At the very end, there is the teacher training aspect of it, where you're delivering a class, but you're delivering it in a group. And at that point, believe me, it'll be like, the intention is to show off your skills. This should not be a stressful thing, because you will be so chilled at this by then. It's like a celebration. It's a celebration of your skills, because you'll have been developing them little bit by little bit, over the year. Yeah. Anybody want to jump in there? Are you happy enough for that? Cool. And then the last question I have is about what is the qualification? The qualification is the International Yoga Teacher Qualification. It's 200 hours, and it will leave you free to get insurance, which is the important part, and then to teach yoga anywhere in the world. So if you want to go and run retreats in Bali, or you want to, because I was talking to someone about retreat in Bali today, or if you want to open your own studio or whatever it is, yes is the answer to the people who are going, are you doing a retreat in Bali? I hope so. Who knows? Let's just figure it out. Yeah, so in terms of that, and in terms of ongoing support, there is ongoing support after the training, because there is a Sangha that you can join, so you will get support ongoing, that you're not going to just be like finished and out you go. Yeah, cool. There are the 3 questions that were asked, and I think that's kind of, yeah, happy days. Cool. So I am going to stop now, having gone way over, nearly went to my full hour. I was trying to keep it much shorter. I apologize. But if you have any questions, if you want to chat about the teacher training, then just there's a thing on the website there, and I'll put it in the link so you can set up a call, a 20-minute call where we can just sort of chat and see that it is for you, or how it would apply to you for your life. And if not, if you're not doing the teacher training, then I wish you the best of luck with and I realized I said 5, but it was really 6, but that's a spare one, just for an extra one for with those tools to actually make real and radical, real and sustainable change in your life. Cool. Hope to talk to you soon.